that you.
What you mean, switch to another night?
Okay, now you're wearing another garment. Well, I'm watching you on YouTube, so I just called on the in the
Don't
conference
worry
call.
about that. Don't worry about that. Okay,
Yes,
we
sir.
back again. May Allah
May Allah
Assalamu alaikum.
assalamu
Okay, now I want to go back to President Biden.
So anyway, there are three key decent looking cars, not jalopies, nice car, flows to take care of their families and their employees. We provided assistance to people to put food on the table. Remember those long lines you guys would all film of cars? Decent looking car, not jalopies, nice cars.
Now, you see how soon you forgot all of that? And I ain't gonna let you forget. He told you about it, and here it is.
The parking lot of AT&T Stadium in Texas is enormous, but it's still not large enough to hold all of the cars coming for food ahead of Thanksgiving. People spilling onto nearby streets and gratefully driving away with 80-pound boxes of groceries.
They just care for us. They know the situation that we're going through.
This was in 2020. That's what Trump left the country in. Food lines.
Need playing out all over a deeply suffering nation. In San Jose, bins bursting with turkeys.
California, New York. Look at that
Rocks lines backed up for blocks. And in South Florida.
Hi, happy Thanksgiving!
The Miami Marlins stepping up to the plate, handing out 1,000 Thanksgiving meals.
And you wanted to put that food back in there. You didn't see me standing in no food line. And you didn't see none of my followers standing in no food line. But you did see you Christians out there standing in a food line with your so-called savior, Donald Trump. Then had all them lying preachers on there, Pat Robinson and all of them, talking about they foresaw him getting a second term, and then when he lost, they like to went crazy. Huh? Then start helping him push a lie. You would have thought that, say, wait a minute, man. Now you say God told you that he's going to be a two-term president. But the devil thwarted God's plan? Is that what you're telling us? That God couldn't, if he told you Trump was going to be 2 terms, and he lost. The scriptures say if a prophet tell you a thing and that thing don't come to pass, then you know he was lying. But no, you still tried to make the lie the truth. Then got up there and compounded it. When he lost, you tried to go up there and overthrow the election. And what was the purpose of smearing boo-boo all over the Capitol? I mean, if you was going to take over the Capitol and take over the government, why tear it up? Why tear up the State House? Huh? You there spreading feces all over the rotunda of the country. You remember when Donald Trump stood up there and hugged the American flag? How come he wasn't outraged when they brought that Confederate flag walking it through the rotunda of the Capitol building? You see, your actions give the lie to your patriotism. Patriots never would have did that. That building got too much That building got too much history to be honored than to go in there and do what you was doing. If you was a patriot, ain't no way you'd went in there and did what you did. That would have been equivalent to me walking through Muhammad's temple, smearing boo-boo all over the walls in there and urinating on the floor. And then talking about I love the Nation of Islam. How could I love the Nation of Islam going through there spreading feces on the wall of the temple? I don't care if Wallace was in there taking it over. I wasn't going to go in there defacing the property. I helped build that. And when I saw that they wouldn't listen to me, I just left it. I'm not going to go there and tear it up. They tore it up. I didn't. It was time for me to go. That's why I'm standing here now. That's what Allah said to me through WD, Savior's Day, 1975. Does man think he will be left aimless? Was he not a small life germ in sperm emitted? Then he made him perfect, then made of him two, the male and the female. Is he not powerful to give life to the dead? That was just another way of saying, look, you're not going to be left aimless. This ain't for you. Leave and go raise up a nation that will submit. Give life to the dead. So now I'm giving life to the dead. The messenger told them that. He said, Allah said, if you will not submit, he will raise up a nation that will. And you ask any of my followers, and they will tell you, that's the one thing that's not negotiable with me. You will either do things my way or you will hit the highway. Now, and I'm not going to keep on going back and forth with you about it. I'll give you a chance to get acclimated. But you better hurry up and get acclimated. Because I didn't force nobody to join with me. I don't even hardly ask people to join with me. They ask me. You don't come asking me to join with me, and then when I tell you, okay, then you want to try to change what I'm about. But look at this.
We're not doing it because we have to. We're doing it because it's the right thing to do. Having an ability to give back and have an impact in the community.
Did you see them white hands on that steering wheel? See, they tried to make it look like it wasn't number of black people, but it was too many cars. There's a whole lot of white folks out there in new cars needed food, thanks to your Donald Trump. And how did that happen? I'll show you how it happened. I'll show you a little more of this first. And you just look at them hands on that steering wheel.
Because we have to. We're doing it because it's the right thing to do. Having an ability to give back and have an impact.
See that? See, them white people coming through there getting food.
The community is important to us.
As much food distributed here in the pandemic's first 4 months as the entire previous year.
The amount of families that cannot put food on their table, that are struggling to keep a roof over their head, is out of control.
Paco Velez of Feeding South Florida says about half of those now lining up at food pantries are doing so for the first time.
How long is this?
Thanks to Donald Trump. Now, how did it get like that? I'll show you how it got like that. Just a moment. This how it got like that.
We are learning sobering new details.
Just a moment. I'm gonna show you that liar what he was doing.
Have you been briefed by the CDC of the words about a pandemic at this point?
No, we're not at all, and we have it totally under control. We have it under control. It's going to be just fine.
We think we have it very well under control. We think it's going to have a very good ending for us, so that I can assure you.
I think we're now up to our 8th case in the United States.
Now, that was in January of 2020. February the 2nd of 2020, they interviewing, these different people was interviewing Donald Trump about the pandemic. Now, just listen.
How concerned are you?
Well, we pretty much shut it down coming in from China. We're going to see what happens, but we did shut it down, yes. Now, the virus that we're talking about having to do, a lot of people think that goes...
February the 10th, he back out there again. Somebody didn't shut it down.
With the heat, as the heat comes in. Typically, that will go away in April. We're in great shape, though.
We have the greatest doctors in the world. We have it very much under control.
Coronavirus, which is, very well under control in our country.
You remember I told you that I may not have told everybody, but I know I told my followers that if you surround yourself with people who don't know no more than you, it's like not having nobody around you. You see, a wise man knows his limits. So he looks for people who knows things better than he does in different fields. Do you understand? That's why a president has to make decisions quickly many times without a lot of in a day or two. He got to make a decision about something. That's why he has a cabinet of advisors that he picks. That's one of the first weather vanes that you can use to determine what kind of president he is. By who he surrounds himself with to help him safeguard this nation. Do you understand? You must surround yourself with people who are patriots, who love this country, who respect the Constitution, and who know things about history. All presidents want a good historian. You also want someone who is business savvy. They was talking about a president need to be a businessman. No, he don't. He need to be a family man. But he needs to have a successful business man. You remember Warren Buffett? There are businessmen in this country that love this country. They're not all piranhas. They're not all people who just take and take and take. So you find a businessman that's successful, that's a patriot. And you ask him, that will you be on call for me sometime? He ain't got to stop his business. But he does need to be available when you may need some advice on certain things that deal with business. You see? And all he is an advisor. He's not no puppeteer. Anytime you allow yourself to become a puppet of any person, you have become the enemy of the Constitution. You're supposed to safeguard the Constitution. You can't do that as a puppet. The only strings on you should be the Constitution. Do you understand? So anyway, what is he doing? He's taking interviews about COVID-19. What is he doing up talking to the press? He should have had the head of the CDC. He should have let Dr. Fauci and them talk to the people about COVID. Do you understand? If you want to take the bow for the handling of COVID, then he didn't even know how to do that. Because everyone knows Donald Trump is not a pathologist. He's not a virologist. Then what is he doing discussing COVID with anyone? How can he do that intelligently when he knows nothing about it? He hasn't studied that virus. But here he's taking the interviews about COVID. Remember when he was talking about it, it wasn't but 15 cases? And it'll soon be gone? Remember that? Listen to him.
Yeah, very few people with it. The people are getting better. They're all getting better. I think that whole situation will start working out. We think we're in very good shape in the United States. Again,
what do you mean we think we are in very good shape? Who is we? Do you see how crazy that sounds? And then you got Dumb and Dumber there. Because the first question out of Sean Hannity's mouth should have been, wait a minute, what do you mean we? I didn't know you were a virologist. You know, but he wasn't going to say that. Because they playing to their foolish audience who just lapping up what they saying like hogs lapping up slop. What I look like standing up here telling you about COVID-19 and how we got this thing under control? What I look like standing up here telling you something like that? Who is we? That's the first thing you should be asking me if I was standing up saying something like that. What do you mean we? I didn't know you was a virologist, sort of man. And if I tell you, well, I'm not. Well, then what do you mean? We got it under control. You mean they got it under control? And if they got it under control, how come they ain't out here talking to us? Do you understand? Of course, you still got to have a degree of independent thought in your head to talk like that. And most of y'all done lost that. Just whatever you hear on the internet that agrees with what you already thinking, that's what you go listen to. And that would be fine if you were a person that sought out facts. Because people who seek out facts, they go listen, and they don't even want to listen to fiction. They go find facts to listen to. Do you understand? So everybody finds what they're looking for. Seek, and you shall find. So just listen.
Under control more and more. They're getting it more and more under control. So I think that's a problem that's going to go away. I think it's going to be under control, and I think I can speak for our country. For our country is under control. The risk.
He think he can speak for our country. Well, the president does speak for the United States, but he can't speak for the CDC. the Center for Disease Control has representatives that speak for the CDC. And they are scientists. And the reason he got away with that was because you was dumb enough to elect him, which means you was dumb enough to sit there and listen to him sit up there and make an ass of himself. Because you a bigger ass than he is.
The American people remains very low.
The CDC said yesterday that they believe it's inevitable that the virus will spread in the United States, and it's not a question of if, but when. Do you agree with that assessment?
Well, I don't think it's inevitable. We're totally prepared. We have the best people in the world.
The CDC, now listen to this. She said the CDC told them that it's inevitable. That is good. Now listen to this now. I'm going to slow it down. Because this is hindsight now. This ain't something that we think going to happen. This is something that's done already took place. Now listen to him.
We're totally prepared. We have the best people in the world.
That assessment.
Well, I don't think it's inevitable.
Do you agree with that assessment?
Well, I don't think it's inevitable.
It's not a question of if, but when. Do you agree with this will spread in the United States? They believe it's inevitable.
And people remains very low.
The CDC said yesterday that they believe it's inevitable that the virus will spread in the United States.
I'm going to slow it down a little bit more. Just a moment. Because this is important. Now, let's see. Let's back it up a little.
The CDC said yesterday that they believe it's inevitable that the virus will spread in the United States, and it's not a question of if, but when.
Can speak for our country. For our country is under control. The risk to the American people remains very low.
The CDC said yesterday that they believe it's inevitable that the virus will spread in the United States, and it's not a question of if, but when. Do you agree with that assessment?
Well, I don't think it's inevitable. We're totally prepared. We have the best people in the world.
Now, if the CDC said it's inevitable, then he says, well, I don't think it's inevitable. Then he says, we got some of the best people. Well, he just contradicted the best people. They said it was inevitable, and it was, because the pandemic's still going on. Isn't it? Do you see how everything he says is just a lie?